And we're back with another MnM going deep. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hope you packed it in for those two nice Monday night games that the NFL had for us last night. Cole, as always, my co-host. How was your weekend?
It was good. As you know, Army beat Navy. So
Go
that's
Army.
that's 50% of the equation. And then, it goes down to what happens to the Packers. We'll get to that. Didn't go well. Obviously, the Browns had a massive win that you gave them no shot at getting. So there you go. That's your proven NFL any given Sunday weekend that you have. It's Giants beat the Packers and Jaguars lose to the Browns.
Yeah, Joe Flacco looking like vintage Joe Flacco out there. And Jordan Love, after all the praise we gave him the last couple of weeks, came had a little bit of a nasty game. Very windy in that game last night, but we'll
Yeah.
get to it. We'll unpack that. Clean up on aisle 3. Have you rebutted the mustache yet?
There was thoughts on shaved head, and
I
I
I won't do that. Nope.
I didn't like that one either. So I'm we're still right now. I'm okay with mustache. I just don't think it's like that bad.
No,
Anyway,
I mean my mustache. It's not pretty when I'm having to grow it.
I agree. Same.
I'm not a mustache guy. That's why I thought of it. I was like, both of us are not mustache people. So, well, we could just dive in right now. Lots to unpack here out of week 14 of this NFL season. MnM going deep will have it all for you right here. Let's start in Pittsburgh, where the New England Patriots knock off the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mitch Trubisky versus Bailey Zappi. Thursday night football. Patriots win.
And this one was, I mean, yeah, 21-18. So Steelers home 6-point favorites, and I mean it was right from the get go. I mean, obviously in the second half, Steelers made it close, but
You know, you nailed this game prediction on the head, too, right?
I don't know. What did I say?
In last week's episode, you said if you turn this game on at like 10:30 at night, turn this game on at 10:30 at night, and one of these two teams
Oh
will be trying to kick a field goal to either tie or win the game. And that was exactly what happened.
no. What it was 21. I believe I was in the airport flying throughout this game, but obviously I was keeping up with it and looking at the highlights. But like Hunter Henry had his two touchdowns, but was it 14 to nothing or it was 14 to 3? It was 21-3 or something in the first quarter.
14 to
And
3, yeah.
yeah, and it was just one of those things where you never expected the budding. Okay, no. So yeah, it was 7-3 in the first quarter, and then it was 21-3 midway through the second quarter. But yeah, I don't know if you're a Steelers fan, you've got to be just punching yourself because these games in the AFC are all but more crucial. You look at like what the Steelers were at 7-3, and now they're collapsing, putting themselves in a spot where now they're out of the playoffs. And you look, no one gives the Steelers a chance because their roster and their team doesn't have the firepower and the consistency to make it like all these other teams that are proving themselves in the AFC week in, week out. So I don't know. It was a disappointing game for a lot of Patriots fans too. I mean, they don't want to win at this point in the year. So their whole fan base is pretty much pissed when they get a successful win like that. And then
The
obviously,
Patriots get a win, but don't fall anywhere in the draft. They stay exactly the same spot as before, which is a little bit handy for them. But Pittsburgh, man, they look bad. It didn't look great without without Kenny Pickett. Mitch Trubisky steps in. It got worse. And I remember 3 weeks ago, everybody was just flaunting how the Pittsburgh Steelers put up 400 yards of offense against the Cincinnati Bengals. Have the mighty have fallen. Um, Kenny Pickett's going to be out. Don't know how that would change if he comes back. TJ Watt gets a concussion in this game. He does obviously have the extra days of rest in order to get back for this week, but that would be a huge loss if TJ Watt's not able to play. And Alex Highsmith as well got banged up in this game.
Yeah, and that's the only thing they got going for them on this whole fucking run they're going to go on is can their defense keep them in games? Because right now it doesn't look like the Matt Canada move is the reason why.
They had that 1 week.
Yeah, but what next game we have Buccaneers going to Atlanta, and no, was it Falcons at Buccaneers? No, Bucks at Falcons. I was right.
Bucks at Falcons. You're right.
In Atlanta, Falcons 2.5 point favorites. Buccaneers win 29-25. This was one of those that was just bad offense throughout the whole first half. Looks like a sloppy game, and then like defenses made some plays. That last like 3-4 drives of the fourth quarter was just crazy. And like getting the ball to Bijan. Obviously, in the first half, I believe Kyle Pitts had that big, nice, wide open touchdown.
Yep.
But I mean, not even really showing his skill set, but like Drake London, over 170 yards, didn't get his touchdown, which he would have liked to come up with one of those two deep balls in the end zone. But just the answer is not Desmond Ridder.
No.
And
bad interception to Carlton Davis in the red zone.
Yes, but like there were times in the game where I was like, wow, okay, there's that Cincinnati Bearcat pedigree that he has where, that drive where he goes right around Tryon Shonika or Tryon. I know it's like I think it's Tryon Shonika, but when he was drafted in the first round out of Washington way 3 years ago, that was a elite pass rushing talent, and you just saw Desmond Ridder right in the red zone just do a quick read option move and just go right around him and outrun him to the pylon. And that was just a gamer move that last couple drives. And Buccaneers, you could say the same thing. I mean, Baker Mayfield, we know he's a gamer, and that was a massive game. That was the biggest implication game for the NFC South that we'll see this season. And now the Buccaneers, who, 2 games ago they were 4-7, and they looked like they were at the very border edge of the playoff bubble, and now they're in the playoffs. They're the front runners, and I mean, right now you don't think anyone but the Saints can maybe get them, but that was just a hard fought road win for Buccaneers.
Yeah, and now the NFC South is just locked up across the board at 6-7 with Bucks, Falcons, Saints all 6-7. With you mentioning the Bucks are currently in the lead.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say is you go into like rankings and how you want to rank these teams. Kind of came up with like breaking down how it's just back and forth every single week with different fucking teams faltering that are just riding high on a 3-game, 4-game win streak, and they lose to a team that's, no business winning, a la the Giants beating the Packers. But in the AFC, I mean, I had this yesterday before Monday Night Football. I had the Dolphins as my number 1 team in the AFC. And I had Ravens number 2, Bills 3, Chiefs 4, Jaguars 5, Bengals 6, and Browns 7. And then you look at that, and the Titans, all the way at my 12th ranked team in the AFC, just beat the Dolphins. And it was like, it should have been the Titans that won that football game because the Titans looked like they were the team that deserved to win that game. Obviously, they did something which no other team in NFL history has done, which is scoring 14 points in the last 3 minutes of the game. But regardless, I just think there's so much, especially in the NFC, there's so close of a different, like there's no difference really between you're looking at the number 4 team and the 13 team in the NFC, and any of those teams can beat any of those teams. Like I got the 49ers, the Cowboys, and the Eagles. Yeah, we know those teams are in a stratosphere of their own in the NFC. But then you go up, down, and I'll say the Rams are probably my fourth best team. If I'm going to go through a hierarchy, I'd put the Lions behind the Rams. Seahawks, I still think they're playing good football. I think with Drew Lock going, you know, making plays when no one gave him a chance to. They covered against 49ers. No one gives a fuck, but that matters for people's wallets. Packers, I was gonna say that right now they would be the 7, but they just lost to the Giants. I'd probably drop them down a couple of spots after that. But there's just in between, you look at the Rams and then like a Vikings team or a Buccaneers team or a Saints team. It's a hard line to put in between those teams as far as like who's the best. And that's why with 4 weeks to go, I don't think there's been more disparity in the NFL this season. And the last thing I'd say is you had one thing I learned was the Packers have, right now they're a 6-7 team. The Bears are a 5-8 team. The Bears currently, with their actual pick, not the Panthers pick, have the 5th overall draft pick of the 2024 NFL draft, 2024 NFL draft. The Packers right now are a playoff team. So you look at an 18 or 19 pick difference in just one win. That's like an unheard of disparity of the current state of the NFL right now. And it's the muddiest I've ever seen the bubble. And you look at the NFC and like we were joking last week or 2 weeks ago, like, hey, the bubble's only got 3 teams on it. You're only worried about 3 teams. And now you look at the bubble and they got everyone in the fucking NFC in the bubble except for the Cardinals.
Except for
And
the
everyone else,
Cardinals and the Giants are right there now. Like,
yeah, the Giants are 5-8, the Bears are 5-8, and all of a sudden, all these 6-7 teams, they're just one loss away from being fucking, an 8-loss team. So you never fucking know now, and it's exciting to like as an overall NFL fan to see that settle and watch the next 3 to 4 weeks of the season before like we get to the finale and into the playoffs. But AFC, I would say it's similar. There's really just there's kind of a what do you call it? A bell curve on as far as where these teams drop off. And now that Justin Herbert's gone, the Jets, the Raiders, the Patriots, I really think it's a Titans. They can play spoiler, but you got those 11 teams in the AFC, the Steelers, the Colts, the Broncos, kind of the back half of that wild card bubble. And then the
Texans.
Texans, and then you go into the Browns, Bengals, Jags. Like those teams are all, like it's a much more competitive at the top in the AFC.
Yeah, and those
But
teams that currently hold the division, like first place, are not safe either. Like there's things that can happen. Like I was looking at the Ravens schedule because Browns fan. Ravens upcoming schedule is not easy, and like if the Browns just keep pushing forward, there's opportunity there that Ravens might drop a game here or two, and now it gets tighter between these two teams.
Broncos, they were 1-5.
Broncos with the
They're
Chiefs.
one. They're a one game back from the AFC West, and they were 1-5. And it's like, who would have fucking thought the Broncos? And now you're looking at it, and you're like, the Chiefs don't even look that good. Like
No,
the Packers for real. So the Packers just beat an average Chiefs team, and now we're looking at an average Lions team that the Packers beat, an average Chiefs team that the Packers beat, a below average Chargers team. Like who you don't know who's who yet. And it's kind of like these teams don't have an identity. I'd say the 3 best teams in the NFL right now. And I kind of went through some power rankings while you were just took a break, but I had like the
I did
Niners and
think about
Cowboys. Yeah. Niners, Cowboys, Eagles are my 3 best teams in the NFL. And I'll put the Ravens right there, right with the Eagles as
I
far
would
as
have
like
put the Ravens ahead of the Eagles. I mean, they're just because they've been winning games like left and right. I mean, we'll get into it when we talk about the Ravens Rams game, but like put some adversity against that team, they still came out on top.
I don't disagree. It's just I think the playoff pedigree is where I'm giving that kind of a curve to the Eagles. I don't know if I love Lamar Jackson. I don't trust Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. It's one
Yeah.
of those every year. It's like Dak Prescott. They're great regular season quarterbacks.
Yeah,
Kirk
that's true.
Cousins, Kirk Cousins, they put up great stats, and then what happens? They go into a divisional round playoff game, and they get exposed. Um,
So where are we at with our recap? Sorry, I
yeah,
was on a business call, but what's up?
no. So now we're going into Colts Bengals. So Colts going in massive game. They were currently in the playoffs, going against a Bengals team that just pulled off a win. They're going in now. Can they beat a team that's in the wild card race? And then that was just domination from the Bengals, 34-14. I don't think a lot of people saw it. Kyle sure did, but just with a -1. So I'm not going to give him credit for. Wait, you were wrong.
No, you you know what I did with my picks last week, but I will say I did mention this when we were talking about this previewing this game last week was Gardner Minshew on the road. He's got like an unreal like statistic against him of like he's just bad on the road, and it showed in this game playing in Cincinnati. And you were a little bit higher on Cincinnati after the Joe Burrow injury, and they like this is still a playoff caliber team, and you're like, well, let's see what Jake Browning's got. I kind of wrote off the Bengals, thought Jake Browning was a nobody, wasn't going to happen. We watched that Jaguars game on Monday Night Football. He has an unreal game, only throwing what 5 incompletions in that game, and then posts another big, nice stat line here in this game against the Colts. Jake Browning, man, he's playing himself into a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful backup quarterback contract.
Yeah. No, I think it's like the year of the backup quarterback.
Yeah,
Look, you look at that, and all these quarterbacks are getting hurt, and then a lot of these quarterbacks are really rising to the occasion, playing good. Jake Browning, you could probably put him at the top of the list. DeVito, just with the Giants, I mean, he's balled out. Josh Dobbs had his run, you know. I don't know if that's the right decision to move on, but I mean, hey, who knows? Maybe Mullins goes in here for the Vikings and plays well. But it's kind of one of those years where it's just like the inconsistencies of quarterback play just fades away when like kind of puts that Tom Brady quote or thought into your mind of like, is the NFL just a bunch of average, muddled together players with not a lot of disparity in greatness? And so you get backups going in and they can rise and play just almost to the level as a starter. But that kind of digresses from where we're at. The fucking what takeaways I had. I mean, I think the Bengals right now, and that's just kind of where I put it in my rankings. I think the Bengals are a playoff team, and I know that right now it's like they have a hard, tough schedule ahead.
yeah. If
I
they
would
if
put
there wasn't like all those tied teams in the AFC, they technically would be in the last seed. But since they're all those teams are 7-6, by the way that the NFL does tiebreakers, they're somehow not in because the Colts are still in, even though they lost to the Bengals this week.
yeah, because there's just it's when it gets to a more than a two-team tiebreaker, it just exponentially increases the different metrics. But the Bengals aren't the classic roster. The fuck, getting a weird call too. The Bengals aren't that classic roster where you're just looking at a Aaron Rodgers team, like a Packers team where if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, the team sucks. Like the Packers, they were punished. They sucked. Bengals have one of the best rosters in football, and people might disagree with me on that as far as the trenches, but I think their defensive front seven is really really good. I think they have some good players in the secondary, not a bunch of stars anymore, but good players. Their offense has incredible pieces, and now it's like, who do you trust in the AFC to make a run? I think Browning, if he can keep the football out of harm's way and just kind of feed the playmakers on the team, that team can win football games.
Yeah, the defense
And
shows out and plays well as they have the past couple weeks.
yeah, 9 teams are 8-5 or 7-6 in the AFC. 9 teams. So like it kind of goes to that like a fuck ton of teams are 6-7 or 7-6 in the NFC. Like it's just it's I think 6 teams are 6-7 right now in the NFC. But that's kind of it's just impressive that the Bengals are now staying in it when everyone wrote them off. But next game we have fucking Jags at Browns. So obviously massive, massive win. What do you
Jacksonville
think this
comes
one?
into Cleveland, and the Cleveland Browns show that they still have a top defense. Not really letting up however many points, 27 to the Jaguars. But Joe Flacco, man, he was the story of this game. Joe Flacco, 3 passing touchdowns in this game, 2 to David Njoku, 1 to David Bell on a 4th and 1. Kevin Stefanski had some great play designs where he was making Jacksonville think that like constantly on these like short runs that we would normally do. Like he would suck up all the Jacksonville defenders and then pop out a tight end and be a wide open touchdown. That was literally both of the Njoku touchdowns. And then they kind of did a similar thing for the David Bell touchdown. Stefanski, I don't very much give him credit. I don't give him credit a lot. He does things that irritate the shit out of me. But that game right there, Kevin Stefanski was in his bag, and Kevin Stefanski coached his team to a win there. And I think him and Joe Flacco are like a match made in heaven because the way Joe Flacco is playing right now, I,
Yeah.
I'm I'm feeling I'm getting more confident in the Browns, which is
Would you
crazy to fucking say.
would you rather have Joe Flacco or Deshaun Watson going into the playoffs?
I I mean, like, just I like Deshaun's like mobility. Like, that always is like a game changer. But Joe Flacco's playing quite well right now. He did have the really ugly interception, but
Yeah, but I thought didn't he run it looked like they ran like the wrong route
yeah,
was like I thought the guy ran out, he was supposed to go in. And
the
like it
wide
was just
receiver ran the wrong route.
yeah, it was just like okay, it looked really bad, but it wasn't like it was just a miscommunication because he's been on the team for fucking 2 weeks.
And him and Amari Cooper are getting onto the same page. And I totally forgot about this. Elijah Moore being a Jet with him last year, they already have a little bit of a connection, know each other a little bit. You can tell in some of the routes that Elijah Moore runs, Joe Flacco just has that timing down with him. But you can tell that he's starting to get comfortable with Amari Cooper as well. And Jerome Ford is playing well. Kareem Hunt is still figuring out how to get in the end zone every week. Like
David Njoku is
David Njoku is becoming a tight end
he's
monster.
he and that was I have like a few takeaways in that game, and that was my biggest one. He's a beast, and he looks like a centerpiece of an offense type threat. And I know that like he's never really became a volume guy for the Browns, and maybe he never will be, but he could and should power that offense, especially with Flacco who can distribute the ball. Like you can get him vertical down the field. Joku gets separation like crazy. He's a yak monster. Like he reminds me of a more athletic George Kittle. Now, Kittle's probably scrappier and obviously just is an all-time guy. But David Njoku is like, there's no way anyone could look back now as a Browns fan and be like, wow, he was a bust. We should have never drafted him in the first round. Like
Nah, he's made some
he's
plays over
consistent.
these last couple of years where like
This season burning his face off and like still fucking like
still
dude's
playing.
yeah, like that's sick. He's like if I was a Browns fan, I would need a Njoku jersey. That's just
Njoku
something.
is one of my top guys. I've always loved him. Um, Miles Garrett played well. I think he's starting to get back to health. I think the worst thing out of this week for the Browns is DeJuan Jones, our rookie right tackle, who has been an anchor on our offensive line, just hit IR, done for the season. And then also today, Jedrick Wills, our left tackle, who had been out for the last couple of weeks, he's now on IR. He's done for the season. And then an even worse one, like another really bad one, in my opinion, This was a rotational guy on our defensive line. Maurice Hurst, who was having a very good season for us, is now on IR. Like all three of them just ended their season after this game, which sucks. But I guess the Browns have like a little
Are
bit
they
of
good for the
a
playoffs? Can they come back for the playoffs? Are they going to be?
no. They're like both DeJuan Jones and Jedrick Wills both need surgeries, and Maurice Hurst tore his pec.
The Dewan Jones was obviously, who was he coming in for at the beginning of the
Jack
year?
Conklin.
Yeah, Conklin. So it's like that's now your third string right tackle that you're on.
Yeah.
But that kind of makes me less bullish on the Browns going into the postseason. But I mean, who knows? We'll figure out if they have the depth. But kind of Flacco, I mean, 300 plus yards, 3 TDs. He had the 2 turnovers, the fumble, and then the interception. But just no one would have thought he'd be putting up that kind of numbers for those teams, especially against a really good Jaguars defense. It's the Browns. Like one stat that I thought was cool, they now have a win with 4 different starting quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It's like that's like crazy to me. I can't even fathom, like 3 would be crazy to me. Like 3 starting quarterbacks getting wins with them, and then having 4, and then Flacco getting his 100th win, like special. He's obviously played in fucking Cleveland so many times, but just kind of a
He Joe Flacco, there was a stat from this game. Joe Flacco is the first Browns quarterback since 1980 to throw 3 touchdowns for over 30 yards for all 3 touchdowns. First Browns quarterback since Brian Sipe to do it.
and Sipe was the man.
Sipe was good too.
No,
But
dude,
like
like
Flacco's got this aura around the Browns, and like it feels nice. It's a warm tale. I hope it continues. Jaguars, yeah, Trevor Lawrence didn't look great. Trevor Lawrence did not look good. And I don't know if that ankle is stable or what they did to him to make sure he played in that game. But by watching that game, I think that Trevor Lawrence should not have played, and they should have rested him and maybe get him back to health. If it wouldn't have been that much different if CJ Beathard played. I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. Um, Going in the next game, Jets Texans. Jets 30, Texans 6.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Obviously, Jets were home dogs, 5.5 point spread. And I mean, weather played a factor. That was just gross weather the entire game.
I feel like the
Uh,
Jets every week. You could correct me. Have the Jets been playing in rain all season?
I
Every
mean,
game.
they've had over 4 rain games. I can account to 2 in prime time that were rain, and then obviously that one. And I'm sure there was one
The
other game.
Falcons game the other week.
Yeah, yeah, last week's. Um, but that breaks a 5 game losing streak for the Jets. Zach Wilson gets 300 yards passing, and now all of a sudden, people are, I hope Zach Wilson consistently steadies out, but he's not the quarterback for the Jets. He never will be. He's in a Sam Darnold experiment now where he is just trying to boost his stock so that the next team that takes a chance on him can determine if he's worthy of a starting QB competition. Like, is he going to be in a QB competition to start next season for another team? That's what Zach Wilson's playing for.
I think he's got to
Obviously,
find like a good coach to go alongside with
yeah.
too.
And that's something that him and his agent need to work out when they're looking for their next, assignment. But that was a kind of one of those adversity wins that Aaron Rodgers was talking about every week about we're going to find out what our team's made of. But that's a tough one for the Texans to lose. Obviously, it wasn't going to be as easy as they thought. They knew the Jets had a good defense. They lost Nico Collins in the first drive. Obviously, they didn't have the Tank Dell threat.
They lost
So
CJ Stroud.
Stroud got hurt.
Stroud has a concussion
That didn't happen though until like later in the game,
later
like
in
in
the
the fourth
game,
quarter.
but he did. I forget how long Davis Mills played for, but that didn't help the Texans either in losing their rookie of the year quarterback.
Um, I mean, that's really all I had on the game. I think just Texans still alive in the playoff race, but that wasn't the one that they thought they were going to chalk up. And so it's a tough one to lose. And then the Jets, it's a good moment for their team.
Yeah, you feel good for Zach Wilson. You know, he's gone through some hard times, and then like losing the job to Tim Boyle and Trevor Siemian, and then getting thrusted back into this. It's that second half that he put together in this game was nice to see for him. I don't really know where the Jets go from here. Do they continue? Like, obviously they're going to continue to try and win, but like, uh, yeah, Houston, that's a shitty loss.
Next game, Rams Ravens. This was Baltimore seven. It ended up being a 7.5 point favorite. And that was my lock of the week. I was telling everybody, and I won money off that, obviously, but I was trying to put everything I had if I could on that because 7.5 points. I thought the Rams were by far supreme to that spread, and that sucks for the Rams. I thought there was times where they got robbed with some calls in the second half where their defense kind of just got. Lamar Jackson played really, really well. I'm not going to take anything away from him. I mean, there were 7 lead changes in this game. You just never thought in that game. I thought there was no chance that the Ravens. They were always playing from behind a little bit. It was Rams score, Ravens score, Rams score, Ravens score, Rams score, and
Very back and forth.
yeah, and Stafford looked like that was the Super Bowl quarterback that 2 years ago we saw, and that offense is really fucking good. And that's the best 6 and 7 team in the NFC right now. And they're the most dangerous team I'm scared of because of Stafford, the veteran quarterback, that right now he might be the most dangerous quarterback in the NFC playoffs. Like Brock Purdy, I'm not taking away from him, but who are you most scared of on a 2-minute drive?
I'd be afraid of a hot Matt Stafford. And
Yeah,
not and there's in like with him now this year, Puka Nakua and Cooper Cup having that combo has paid dividends for the Rams. And to get this running game up to speed the way that Sean McVay likes to, Kyron
yeah.
Williams is not a like
He's a beast.
anything to like wag a finger at. He is a good running back.
He's came out of fucking and he's really good. Uh, it kind of pisses me off how good he is because obviously I'm rooting against the Rams every game for the playoffs, and I'm like, God, like they're gonna run the ball, and he's still getting 6 yards of carry, and it's like stop him where you get him, and he just gets 4 more yards after contact.
Yeah, I don't like him because he's a Notre Dame guy.
And what they get him like the fourth round or maybe
He's a
more.
late pick. He's a late pick.
The the other thing about that, obviously, the Tylan Wallace overtime punt return, that was the fourth or fifth that's been done in NFL history. That to end the game in a punt return in overtime. But that was just like a gritty game that you're happy for both. Like was kind of like happy for both. Obviously, I wanted the Ravens to win, but like the Rams, that's a confidence building loss. Kind of like the Packers and lost to the Steelers. I just compare everything to fuck Packers, but Packers lost to the Steelers, but we knew we should have won that game.
Mm-hmm.
And we felt like our offense was playing great. So it was just like on to the next one. I think the Rams can feel like that going in the next game. Their
Yeah, they
schedule's not super easy, but
no, they went toe to toe with probably what people were saying was is the best team in the AFC, and they maybe should have came out on top.
yeah. All right, what do we got? The next game, Lions at Bears. Bears 3-point dogs at home. And just kind of like 2 weeks back, or was it 2 weeks ago? Or no, it was 3 weeks ago. Just running it back to 3 weeks ago where the Bears felt robbed. And I mean, then all of a sudden, 28-13 final score. That was just domination. 76 yards of offense in the second half for the Lions. Like, that's awful. Goff had 160 yards passing and 2 interceptions on the day. Bears defense, all of a sudden, you're like, wow,
Damn.
are all those free agent pieces that they put together, are they all coming together? Jalen Johnson and this is just he like eye-popping plays every time I turn on the TV. He 33 on the Bears is just he's making himself so much money. He might to me he's got to be like a top three corner the way he's playing this year.
Oh, he's playing out of his mind lately.
There's no one corner I'm looking at him like they're by far better than anyone else. Jalen Johnson might be to me like Jalen Ramsey. I'm sure Jalen Ramsey. I haven't watched his like tape or seen his highlights from this season,
He got
but
truck sticked by Will Levis last night.
that's see Will Levis. He eats what banana peels. That's probably why.
Puts mayo in his coffee.
Yeah, and I mean I don't know. I wouldn't think it's a bad idea, but fucking I don't know. I just think Jalen Johnson's gonna continue to fucking make plays, especially when they're doing that. Like they're playing zone defense, and every single time I see him make a play, it's like he's covering two different guys. Like he's either playing the short guy and then he jumps or
Yeah, he's
he
making
pedals
like an
back.
unreal read and just flying and
Yeah.
making a play.
So that's what you like to see with him. He's a beast and against the run game too. But yeah, Justin Fields is maybe not fighting for his long-term future with the Bears.
Making a statement to be a starter somewhere else then.
Yeah, I think you got to consider him as he's definitely got to be one of those. I'm not thinking he's going to get Daniel Jones money at all, but I mean Justin Fields. I think he's there for like a 20 million a year deal for maybe 2 years. Give him a 2 year, 20 million a year, like 2 year, 40 mil deal. Just give him like a chance in an offense that's building. Maybe like a fucking who's Eric Bieniemy, wherever someone like that goes.
They got to figure something out with this offense. Like Matt Eberflus, since he took over the play calling for their defense, it's like done. He's done an astounding job getting them back into form. They made the trade for Montez Sweat, so they have a corner piece of a pass rusher. We talked about Jalen Johnson, but they're as a whole unit, that Bears defense is coming together, looking like a Chicago Bears defense, that we used to see years and years ago with Peanut Tillman and all those guys, Lance Briggs. But Justin Fields, like I don't really know what the Bears do, man. Like they have, like it's almost sealed that they're going to get that number one overall pick with having the Panthers pick. And then they still have another top 10 pick. And
Yeah,
like a lot of people are still slating them to take Caleb Williams as the number one overall pick, which is another quarterback, which like I don't know how you walk away from Justin Fields this quickly.
that said, yeah, Bears and Giants are two teams you don't want to. I just would put them in the same kind of pool of teams that thought everyone thought they were the worst thing on the planet. Right now, yeah, they might not make the playoffs. They're still not eliminated. Both locker rooms, they like their fucking, miracle chances. I'm not saying they won't. But Bears and Giants are teams you don't want to see on your schedule right now
No.
because I mean, Bears they're hungry. And the Lions, you slip another one, you just got to make sure your formula for success is sustained. And they have pieces, they have a talented roster, a talented defense, but they're not playing to their strengths. And they're kind of just playing on their like defense. They're on their heels. They were on their heels that entire game against the Bears offense. Offensively, Chicago took it to them, and they were choosing the way they wanted to play the game.
DJ Moore
And
was torturing them.
yeah, and I don't know if like Cole Kmet, another one of those tight ends where like he's underrated, making plays, getting open. Justin Fields is, you know, eluding pressure and then kind of just extending the play, finding guys open. Lions couldn't sustain defensive coverage, but Lions have at least 4 weeks to get it right before the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to win the division. Uh, can they just make a worthwhile playoff run? But
Yeah, they got to make some tweaks in order to, win a playoff game right now. Like, because that now they're entering that conversation of like, hey, you won the division, but if you get smoked at home in the playoffs, like that's going to be a bad look.
mm-hmm. What next game we had was Panthers Saints.
Yep.
Panthers fucking I can't believe I said that they were the best 1-11 football team in NFL history because like now I look like a fucking idiot. And that's two 6-game losing streaks for the Panthers. Two
Yeah.
6-game losing streaks.
Yeah.
They're fucking 2-12. Uh, they're not something that a coach can fix right now.
There's a
And
lot of wrong with that team right now.
and that's where it's like frustrating to just see you get rid of Frank Reich. Maybe Frank Reich lost the locker room. He's not Urban Meyer, but maybe he did something or just his approach wasn't what the team wanted. But I mean, a lot of it seems like the decisions above the coaching, which is why there's frustration in the locker room.
Yeah, it sounds
Like,
like David Tepper, the owner, is getting
yeah.
way too involved. And
And the GM is kind of just a puppet. And now you're in a situation where it's going to be the fan base versus the owner. I could see that happening, especially if Bryce Young doesn't save the day. You know, Tepper's best hope, and I know he's publicly praised Bryce Young and said he's still our guy. And he should be the guy in the next year. I mean, obviously he'll be the guy until next year, but he's got a 2 year tryout. And I love Bryce Young, and I hope he fucking puts it together. And he deserves obviously more chances, and he needs a better offensive line to protect. He needs better pieces on the outside. They need a whole new offensive just restructure. But that was a beatdown, and there was no chance that they had of winning. Like Chuba Hubbard is their only fucking player that's like consistently like, wow, I'm like, look at that. He's got an over 4 yard per carry average throughout the season. Like, that's a good run. He just got 5 yards. And then they'll give him a 5 yard run, and then they'll do a play action pass, and Bryce Young will slip in the backfield, and it's a sack for 7 yard loss. And then the
yeah,
third down and 12, you dunk it to fucking Miles Sanders for a 1 yard gain. And it's fucking 4th and 11.
I
Like
don't
that's
understand Bryce Young too. I think he needs to really remember that he's in the NFL now and dudes are faster because he runs backwards a lot. And you nailed it on the head where it's not just a piece here and there. It's like whole offensive line. You need weapons around Bryce. The defense isn't that great. And you don't have picks. And it's crazy to think that too, because at one point in time, that team had Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore.
they had more than enough. And it's kind of one of those unfortunate things where your team doesn't age to the perfect, rotation of, turnover, or I don't know how you would say it, but like your window, your Super Bowl window, your playoff window.
Yeah.
You get your star players in their prime at the wrong times, and then all of a sudden you've got to restructure, and the restructure doesn't work. So you've just got to let them go or trade them away for draft capital But I don't know. They are a couple years away in my mind. Saints got a big win.
Yeah.
That
Go to
was a much needed win to go to 6-7 and
Yep.
stay right there in the playoff race. But Jimmy
Yeah.
Graham got a touchdown.
Dude, I saw that he got a touchdown, and he got one like a couple weeks ago. And I every time I see his name pop up, I'm like, holy shit, Jimmy Graham's still playing.
Yeah. I mean, I say that about Joe Flacco too. But
Yeah, I say that about Joe Flacco too.
the yeah, Derek Carr, he he can win a playoff game if he gets going he's a rhythm guy, just like Dak. I'm not saying he's as good as Dak, but Derek Carr can, when you get him in a rhythm, he can get going and get hot. So I'm not saying the Saints are a playoff team, but they can easily be a playoff team. Next game going in the 4 p.m. window, Vikings at Raiders next game.
The
That
biggest
I
news
mean,
is just that the Vikings are going to Nick Mullins, but
yeah,
that's about it.
the Vikings pushed. Let's give them that. They pushed. It was a 3 to -3 spread, and that's what happened. Uh, what the fuck is really all I have to say about that, because I need the Raiders to win that game. And they moved the ball a little bit in the first quarter, and shit got happened. Nothing happened. Whatever. It's
Yeah.
okay.
3-0 is what that was. 3-0. The Vikings won. And that's all you got. All you need to know about that game is that the Vikings won 3-0.
And
And
Justin Jefferson got injured again.
Josh
So
Dobbs murdered Justin Jefferson.
He did it. I didn't see it. Was
He
did he
threw
do it
like
to him?
he threw like a hospital pass, and Justin Jefferson got laid the fuck out.
That's probably why he's benched. Um, Seahawks at 49ers. So 49ers. This spread went up. This kind of pisses me off. So I would have hit this fucking spread if it went to 12 and a half
Yeah,
come game time, but I got it at 10 and a half, but that's okay. Um, Seahawks to me, this game got away from them late. This was a closer game than it appeared to be. And like when I was watching in the second quarter and early in the third, like Drew Lock was making some plays
it's
and
also
it was,
throwing interceptions.
yeah, I mean, expected. But I stupidly did not know Drew Lock was playing in this game.
Yeah,
And when I picked it, but I had a feeling because I was like, that's the only reason why they're going to be such a big underdog. And but I thought about it. I'm like, I also think Drew Lock is a capable backup quarterback and a really talented and is a slinger and he can win them games. So I wasn't shook if like they would make it a close game. And it was close in the first half. Second half in the back end, it got away from them. Debo Samuel was incredible.
he's on a
And
roll right now.
yeah, I would put him there as a top five receiver. I think if you're going to go through, I'd say Tyreek Hill. Who are you most scared of, and you want to have on your team? I'd go Tyreek Hill, Debo Samuel, AJ Brown, CD Lamb. Give me a fifth guy. You can throw Justin Jefferson in there, Jamar Chase. Like you can rotate those guys. Maybe you put, uh, I don't know. Does
Amari Cooper.
you leave AJ Brown out? Do you leave? But I honestly think he's right there as a top five guy in the
Uh,
NFL.
yeah, he's a weapon, man. Like they get him involved in the run game. They get him in. He's now returning kicks. Like, and when he gets on that like his straight line speed, he is fucking an animal to take
Yeah,
down. Like he is breaking tackles left and right. It is incredible to watch him play. I love watching him run. He absolutely torched Jamal Adams, and Jamal Adams, man, he might be a little washed
yeah. Well, I thought he was overrated just from his first fucking stint, but
already.
I did. I thought he was overrated before he went to the Seahawks.
But
Um,
like as an offense for the San Francisco 49ers, when you can hand the ball off 16 times to Christian McCaffrey and he almost eclipses 150 yards, he's almost got 10 yards of carry every time. And then you have Debo on the outside, then you have Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, and you just have to have a good point guard in Brock Purdy. And Brock Purdy is playing not out of his mind, but he is executing to a T. And it's going to be hard for any team to slow that offense down. I think in the NFC, I think the bet, like since we just watched them play the Eagles, I think the best case scenario is the Dallas Cowboys slow them down somehow,
yeah. Or the Green Bay Packers,
or the Green Bay Packers.
who can not slow down Mike DeVito. All
Tommy,
right. Did I say Mike DeVito?
you say Mike DeVito every time.
Dude, he deserves to be called Mike DeVito. Fuck him. Anyways, next game, Bills at Chiefs, 20-17. Bills cover on the road in Kansas City. I thought that was gonna happen, so just call me Nostradamus. But no, Josh Allen's gonna will the Bills to the playoffs. I'm gonna call it right now. Bills are gonna beat the Cowboys.
In
It's
the
going to
Super Bowl.
happen. I think here's what I'll say right now. Outside of the Ravens, and maybe even more than the Ravens because of Josh Allen's pedigree, I think that who are you most scared of in the playoffs if the Bills make it in? I'm most scared of the Bills. There's no other team in or the AFC that I am more threatened by than the Buffalo Bills. And I know that they have flaws. Their defense isn't the same. They're not getting the pass rush that they need to. The run game, they're not giving the ball enough to James Cook. It's kind of an inconsistent pass game as far as finding reliable players to throw to outside of Stephon Diggs. But
I feel
right
like they
now.
just hate James Cook. Is it just me, or do they just hate him?
There might be something in that locker room, not locker room, but I don't want to say it's a locker room thing, but they understand that they can't give him 15, 20 carries because he won't be as
Explosive or something? Like I
not
don't know.
maybe as,
Every
but
time he gets the ball, Cole, he is making some sort of play.
it's like kind of one of those things where we know James Cook is a smaller back. Aaron Jones is a very small back. Aaron Jones, Packers have always given him like no more than 12 or 15 carries a game. And everyone's like, oh my God, feed him the ball. He's getting 12 carries for 120 yards. Give him the fucking football. But the problem is, Aaron Jones gets hurt. And then he's small. He's only 195, maybe 200 pounds, but he's 5'8". That's like James Cook. James Cook is, you don't want him to be just bruised up before he gets into week 17. You want him to be healthy and fresh for the playoffs. I'm not going to say they need to start saving them because they don't have fucking up. They're in the playoffs right now. But that was a playoff game they just won in there for their season. And they can lose to the Cowboys and still have a shot. But I like the Bills in the game against the Cowboys. We'll get to that later. Chiefs, the last thing on this one I had was the comments about the fucking Kadarius Toney penalty. I mean, here's the it's just crazy to think like I think the frustration is finally getting to the Chiefs locker room because last week against the Packers, they were very professional and showed a lot of the championship mindset where they're like, hey, we're not looking for calls. Like when they talked about the Carrington Valentine pass interference that was a no call, they're like, that's still on us. We got to play better. I'm not blaming the refs. That's our fault. It's on us.
This
Complete
was
180, complete
complete
180.
opposite this
And
week.
I think it's just because there's issues that are starting to unravel. And I don't think Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid are maybe putting the onus on the players that aren't stepping up, like in Aaron Rodgers. He's going to call out his receivers if they're not playing the level that he needs them to. I'm not saying Mahomes isn't, but he's never really had to because he can just give Kelsey 12 to 15 targets and get him 10 receptions for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then make magic happen. And that's still going to happen sometimes throughout this season. But fuck, they're looking like a team all of a sudden where anyone can beat the Chiefs.
Their defense is still very good. It's the offense is like they don't their offense is not executing. They're doing the get to third down and then they get a penalty, so then they don't convert type deal, like shooting themselves in the foot type deal. They don't have I would say a reliable receiver right now outside of Travis Kelce. And Travis Kelce has been a little bit quiet these last couple of weeks. I don't know if, his age is getting up there or like, too much tread on the tires, but
Or
I
the whole
think
defense is keen in on
on
Travis
him
Kelsey.
and nobody else
Yeah.
can do anything type
Yeah.
deal. I have no idea, but I think you nailed it on the head there too again of I think internally in that building, they know that they are not at the level that they want to be in order to contend for a Super Bowl right now. And it's starting to frustrate them. And 2 weeks in a row of having the refs not be on your side for once, I can remember a 2021 AFC divisional round where a fucking asshole Reed Sorensen helmet to helmet to Rashad Higgins, and Rashad Higgins fumbles the ball, and they didn't even call it. And you can go look it up. You can go see how whatever his name was, I can't remember his name, but it was a complete just leading with his head, and the Browns got screwed, and the Chiefs ended up winning the game. No one talks about that if you're a Chiefs fan. Or the what earlier this season when they played the Vikings and their defender just completely tackled the Vikings wide receiver. Like Chiefs fans forget all these times that they got bailed out. It just hurts sometimes when you're not the team that gets bailed out and it goes against you. It happens to everybody.
Yeah. But they'll be in the playoffs. Just makes it more interesting because now you got teams that 9 teams, like we said, are 8-5 or 7-6 in the AFC. So it's a lot more competitive and close. Next game, the Broncos at Chargers. and what
That was that
Broncos?
game.
The what was that game?
And that was that game. I'm just saying, like, there was like nothing to go with this game besides the fact that Justin Herbert is now out for the season.
Yeah, so like I'm trying to like I know the Broncos won, and I don't think it was close.
It was like 27-6.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to see. I take the notes and see if I even wrote that down.
24-7.
I didn't write that game down, but um, yeah, Justin Herbert's hurt, and the Broncos now are 7-6. They bounced back from that loss, and I mean they're right now they're like in their odds too. If you kind of like put your playoff predictor, I believe they have over a 50% chance, but
Yeah.
with their schedule remaining, it's going to be a tight one. Uh, I don't care about that game anymore. Chargers next year.
Yeah, just get Justin Herbert healthy, fire Brandon Staley, bring in an offensive minded coach, maybe get rid of some of the contracts on that defense because they're not performing. Yeah, Chargers, start over, something like that. Broncos, yeah, they're making an unreal run right now, and I really don't like seeing it, and I kind of just hate them and fuck them. Yeah,
The
fuck them.
the fuck. The next game we had was the Eagles and Cowboys. This was another one of those smackdowns. 33-13 Cowboys, 15 consecutive home wins for the Cowboys. That's the longest active streak in the NFL. No kidding. And then zero offensive touchdowns since 2017 for the Eagles. So, I
Yeah,
mean, they just had the Jalen Carter return in the third quarter. Outside of that, there's two field goals. Uh, Kind of a tough spot to be in as an Eagles fan because, and this is kind of, I remember Tony Perone. People don't know what the fuck this loser is. Just kidding. But big Eagles fan. I put out my NFC seven seeds way back at Thanksgiving. I said there are going to be the seven teams make the NFC playoffs, and that was my predictions. And I had the Niners as the one seed, and I had the Eagles as a two seed with three losses. And he said there's no way the Eagles. And I was like, I called these. I mean, it was the two games, and it was a trap. I mean, not a trap, but like the Niners were coming in hot, and now it's just a matter of you're going to be your best football in December and January, and that's what matters. Or are you going to be your best football in October, September, November, like the Eagles this year? And you kind of hope that they can just turn it around, get hot again, find something they can just create an identity off of. Because right now, their offensive line, not saying they're playing terrible, but
it's not
they're not
good.
ex- they're not executing the same way with their run plays. They're not giving the ball enough to DeAndre Swift. They're not getting the separation in the passing game or the time to throw the ball. Hurts is looking a lot less composed and just like
Frantic.
conf- confident and killer. He's got like the killer mindset that he just doesn't really have right now. But I think they'll easily be fine in the playoffs. It's just something to like get concerned about, especially against some of these higher level teams.
Yeah, they got 4 weeks to shore it up, and I wouldn't even be that. The offense is a problem right now for the Eagles. I not getting Devontae Smith and AJ Brown the ball enough. I really think that they need to just run DeAndre Swift more and more, get him the ball more. I think he's just an underutilized playmaker on their team. I feel like you could probably look at a stat where the amount of times that he gets the ball, like direct reflection of how successful their offense is, something along those matters. But what I wanted to get at was they have big problems on that defense. Their back end, their secondary is not good. Yeah, you could put all these guys up in front all you want, but if no one can cover on the back end, and you saw it in this game, it's going to be problematic and it's going to be a long day for the Eagles. It's kind of funny because the two teams that were in the Super Bowl last year are kind of both unraveling at the same time. Chiefs, after this Bills loss, and now the Eagles after these two losses to 49ers and Cowboys. And
Right after they played each other too.
yeah, and it's just interesting to see because the Eagles are in that, like, they've got guys that are probably on expiring deals that are going to either go to another team or retire. Like Jason Kelsey, I think this is his one last ride. Fletcher Cox, one last ride. Brandon Graham, one last ride. Like Lane Johnson's getting up there in age too. Like there's a lot of players on the Eagles roster that are aging or in that zone of possible retirement or moving on from the Eagles in general. And as an Eagles fan, you should be a little bit nervous about that with how your team has looked the last 2 weeks and only having 4 weeks to get ready for this playoffs. The only plus side they have is the Niners have a couple of tough games, and same with the Cowboys over these last couple of weeks, and the Eagles' schedule is a lot lighter from here on.
No. It just goes to like a who would you rather play? And I would much rather play the Eagles over those two teams. But I'm not saying either team's going to be easy to beat. But Monday Night Football, first game, Packers, Giants. Giants, 6.5-point underdogs at home, get their third straight win. Tommy Mike DeVito, Tommy Cutlets, whatever the fuck you want to call him, first quarterback in NFL history. This dates back to 1920. First quarterback since stats were taken to have no turnovers, no sacks, over 70 rush yards, and over 180 pass yards.
Jesus.
And I mean, that's kind of like okay, what the fuck type of ESPN stat is that? But that was not an ESPN stat. I got that off of a Packers podcast. But anyways, first time in NFL history that happened. That's like, and I'm thinking about it, and it was like they had 69 sacks coming into this game. In 11 weeks, they had 69 sacks given up from the Giants offense.
Yeah, they were bad.
There was a 19.7% sack percentage per attempt. So 1 in 5 times that they were passing the ball, it was a sack for the Giants offense. And there was 0 sacks. That's why he got 71 rushing yards. DeVito literally just evaded so many sacks. We weren't gap disciplined rushing the quarterback, and that's really what it came down to. Props to him for making a couple big time throws. He missed some big time throws. Neither team wanted to win this game. It looked like in the first 3 quarters, it was just a brutal game. Bad penalties. Russ didn't play well, and when I say play well, like they performed like shit. But I'm not going to blame the refs. Jordan Love, the little bit of hope that I was happy about with this game was he had a tough first half. He was missing throws. I still like his composure. Like he's not one of those guys that's like, fuck, like I suck, I'm down. Like he's just like a next play mentality. He was missing throws, and I just have like a weird affection for like not getting mad at him. Like I don't want to blame Jordan Love even when it's like, oh, it was a fucking terrible pass. And Liv is like, oh my God, he fucking threw a pass so bad at like that was brutal. And I'm like, no, don't get mad at him. But I mean, he's threw some fucking wobblers. In the second half, though, he really had some good plays that just whether Jaden Reed couldn't find it in the end zone, we had settled for a field goal, or there was just several plays where it was just wow, we could run the ball and we didn't run the ball enough.
And it doesn't help that your kicker fucking is a question mark again.
Yeah, I mean, he's a question mark. And he really is like his stats are better than he's been this year, and he scares the fuck out of me every time he kicks a field goal, and an extra point. I should
like
say.
that one yesterday was like it from the minute it left his foot. I was like, that's not going in.
Yeah, but it wasn't a shank. It was just like, all right, come on, like you literally.
It was a straight shot outside
pencil.
of the post.
Yeah, it was a fucking pencil. No, the Jordan Love touchdown at the end of the game was what really impressed me.
Yeah, it's good.
We obviously the Saquon Barkley gifted us that with that fucking fumble. It was an unreal ending. I was in shock and disbelief. But no, when they got that ball to Malik Heath and Malik Heath stepping up, an undrafted rookie wide receiver, Packers now they're going to be without Dontavian Wicks for a few weeks because he just got a high ankle sprain.
Damn.
Jaden Reed got a concussion on the last play on the Packers offensive 2-point conversion. So now we're likely going to be at that Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, Luke Musgrave, and Aaron Jones going into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's your entire starting offense. We outside of Romeo Dobbs. So we'll have Romeo Dobbs and we'll have our two undrafted rookie receivers in Malik Heath and Samari Toure as our starting three receivers, and our two rookie tight ends, one of them undrafted, in Ben Sims and Tucker Kraft.
Yeah,
That's going to
Tucker
be our
Kraft had a
starting.
good game.
He did, and he's playing really well, and I like these guys, even the undrafted guys. They're playing really fucking good for being undrafted. That was on Deontay Banks, that touchdown. But how many times do we see Jordan Love throw an interception, or we choke and don't get the touchdown to take the lead in the final 3 minutes of the fourth quarter, like the Raiders game, the Broncos game, the fucking Falcons, like all those different games we choked, and finally we came
Steelers.
through, and that made me happy. Steelers game, same. All four of those games almost identical. I mean, the Falcons game was a little bit. I mean, it was pretty much the same, yeah. But those three of them, it was just like, all right, we have the ball, we have to score a touchdown. Can we do it? And he finally got it done. So we got the monkey off the back there. Our defense fucking sucked. That's all I have on that one. Unless you have anything.
Tommy DeVito, that stat that you just listed off is incredible. I did not know that. Watching this game, I was like, oh wow. What do the Giants do with this Tommy DeVito guy now? Is he just going to be a backup forever? He's literally like, I saw somebody relate it to Linsanity, and it is 100% Linsanity 2.0. Tommy DeVito, quarterback of the New York Giants, just him and that family up in the crowd, and just this celebration, like,
That was
and
NFL Network, I think, that did that. But the funny thing is, and they mentioned this too, is like Tommy DeVito lives with his mom.
yep,
Like
he
he's
lives with
still
his
live.
mom and dad.
I think it's cool. You know what I mean? Like it's saving money. You live in New York. I like it. I was
When they
telling my
asked him
side.
about it, they were like, "Why do you still live with your mom and dad?" He was like, it's expensive to live in New York, and if you don't know where my parents live," and then he said like the address or whatever, and he was like, "I don't think I can find a place that's this cheap, this close to the stadium."
Yeah. Um. So yeah, it's like he's honestly like I was talking to a Giants fan. Like I can't be happy enough for them right now because I'm just it's too sour in my mouth about how that game went. But he's he's taking the league by storm, and it's fun to see. Saquon Barkley looks like the real deal. Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, he's
They have
back.
pieces. Wandale Robinson is fucking fast, and
Yeah,
feed him the fucking ball.
that
He
that catch he
he's a
had on the
beast.
sideline was ridiculous.
And he had that 30, he had a 35-yard jet sweep carry that was just like I was amazed that our safety was able to even catch him. Like he was running in a different fucking gear than our whole defense the entire play. And he's so fast and he's got good hands. Yeah, you're talking about the sideline catch.
The
He
sideline.
also he also called game with that fucking 10-yard
Yep.
out route that he took up the field and got 30 yards on. But just yeah, they got pieces, and again, they're 5-8. They're not out of it. They got a decision to make with Daniel Jones and Tommy DeVito. I don't think DeVito has the arm, and I don't know if he's a starting quarterback long term. He's kind of more of a Minshew guy, I think, where he's going to play really well for a few games, maybe a Jacoby Brissett type. Like obviously not the same
He's gonna
player.
get a nice backup contract deal,
Yeah, I think for sure.
but
Uh,
that's the Giants. Tommy Cutlets and Jordan Love.
Next game, Titans at Dolphins. Another really good football game. Two really good Monday
Yeah,
night games, and I mean, the Dolphins just did not look right on offense. Obviously, Tyreek Hill got hurt. He came back.
Jalen
Uh,
Waddle got hurt.
I didn't know Waddle got hurt. Did he?
Mm-hmm.
That sucks. Titans, like Derrick Henry, when you can get him going, they're really good. I know he had the mishap. he had a fumble, I believe. But Will Levis, obviously, people are saying he's the real deal. I mean, you went over 300 yards, 327 yards, I believe, passing. DeAndre Hopkins got over 120 of those. That was the first time in NFL history. Again, another crazy stat. First time in NFL history being down 2 touchdowns in the final 3 minutes of the
Yep.
game and winning. But like there was 3 other times where teams did it in overtime, but they won in regulation. So like
Mm-hmm.
that's an impressive stat. They were like 1 in 761 the first time to win. But yeah, that was a massive loss for the Dolphins for that 1 seed. And now they are playing from behind.
Playing from behind and got some question marks. Tua didn't look good in this game. The Titans defense really bottled him up. Yeah, just the Dolphins offense in general just looked bad. Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert did what they can, and then Tyreek Hill and Waddle, as you said, injured. Will Levis, yeah, he's getting the reins and he's taking control. He's developed that nice connection with DeAndre Hopkins. And I mean, having a vet like DeAndre Hopkins on the outside, it's definitely going to help a rookie quarterback. Just feed him the ball, just throw it to him as that many times. And having a back like Derrick Henry is nice too. Tajay Spears looks like he's fitting into his little scat back role too in the Titans offense. And if Mike Vrabel can get a few more pieces on the defense, man, the Titans could be a little bit scary next year if Will Levis develops in the right way.
And I don't think they ever thought he was going to be their guy. And
I
maybe
don't
they thought there
know.
was a small chance, but the amount of shit he took as a draft pick and as a rookie, and now he's kind of really came along and proved himself. It's cool for him.
Yeah, he's hungry. He's hungry for it too. They've got a decent schedule coming up, playing the Texans, Seahawks, Texans, and Jaguars in their last 4 games. See what Will Levis can do. Sling it, baby. See what you got.
It's almost like imagine Will Levis on a fan base a la like the Steelers or Browns. I just think the Titans don't appreciate, a player like that. Like he won't get the same love as like and I'm not saying the Titans aren't blue collar, but like the Steelers, like
Yeah.
instead of Kenny Pickett, like
He's
giving
one of
someone that's
our
got
guys,
he's got that moxie and that gunslinger, that Brett Favre to him, where he's just like I think that would be something that they would embrace. But anyways, going into second down, that concludes first down. First game Thursday, we have
Ew.
Chargers Raiders. The worst. I don't like it. It sucks because I have to look to see if there's any other sporting events on that I can watch. I love NFL football and I want to watch every little bit of it. So I probably will watch this game, but it's just sad to see that, we're getting to that point where some of these games are going to be complete duds with nothing to play for.
It's shitty when
And
it's the primetime games and it's the only
yes,
game on that you can fucking watch, especially now that we have Easton Stick playing against Aiden O'Connell.
and Al Michaels isn't around forever. So
Nope.
he's also miserable that he's got to call this game in some of his last years of broadcasting, on under the lights. But
That's a guy that's seen the 1980 Miracle on Ice, and now we have to make him watch Easton Stick and Aiden O'Connell on Thursday
yeah,
night. He could be doing a whole lot more on a Thursday night than this.
yeah, and Kirk Herbstreit too. I mean, he's like college football's bell, and now we're fucking doing trash ass game. But hey, maybe it turns into a fun one. Maybe it's Kyle's sneakiest matchup of the week. We
What do you
will
have for a
see.
spread here, Gay?
Raiders -3 at
Yeah.
home in Vegas. And that's also the spread for how many fans will attend that game because I
Yeah.
can't imagine either of these fan bases having people. But
Yeah,
besides
I
that,
mean, like, it's also like I hate how the Raiders left Oakland because they had such a powerful fan base there, and now they're in Vegas and they're not as appreciated. Like, yeah, they're starting to get some loyalty, but it's never going to be that Oakland pride and joy that it was.
yeah. And no one in Vegas is coming there to watch Raiders games. They're going there to gamble.
Strip club.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, basically is a strip club. Uh, Next game, Vikings Bengals, Saturday. The good thing is we have a really, really good Saturday slate. Thursday slate sucks. Saturday slate, Vikings, Bengals, 1 p.m. in Cincinnati. Bengals 3.5 point favorites. Kind of a big spread, but then again, I think it goes down to Browning's playing really good at quarterback right now for Cincinnati, and they're switching to Nick Mullins at quarterback for the Vikings. They don't know how he's going to take the offense. Justin Jefferson's out again, most likely. I think he's questionable right now, but
Yep.
doesn't look like he'll play. But still, Vikings, they didn't look great last week. They got the win. These two teams need a win. This is a massive game.
Yeah.
This is a critical game. Like this is awesome. Like this is the type of game that like you want to turn on and watch. You know what sucks is I won't be able to because I'll be in New York. So I won't get to probably watch this game. I'm gonna try to, but I'll be with Liv's family. Steelers Colts.
You're just gonna skip over me on this one.
Oh wait, no. Go ahead. My bad. I got
No.
sad.
Two 7-6 teams that are really vying for a playoff position. Jake Browning, I think, gets the nod here, like the little bit of the favoritism. I don't know. I remember watching Nick Mullins play for the Browns one time, and it was not fun to watch. I hope that there's points in this game. That's all I'm really hoping for. The over under is 39.
Oof.
Can we get there?
I mean, Bengals put up some fucking points. I think the Vikings have a good defense, and I think the Bengals have a pretty good defense.
Yeah.
So that's where I think you see it coming along. Vikings blitz more than any other team in the NFL.
Lou Amareo and Brian Flores going at it.
What do we got? The next game, Steelers Colts. That's the 4 p.m. Saturday game. Another really good football game where two teams with massive implications on this game. Colts 2.5 point favorites at home. Yeah, this is one where it's holy shit. Is this? Oh no, I thought every single team was a home favorite. Wow.
No.
There are only three road dogs or three road favorites this week. But anyways, the Steelers Colts big game. Kind of don't know which way you want to go with this one because both teams were letdowns this past week. I don't know. I don't trust Trubisky. I trust Gardner Minshew more than Trubisky, especially with
Yeah.
all those injuries on the Steelers defense, like you mentioned. So I'd probably lean towards the Colts on this one.
Yeah, I'd probably lean Colts. It benefits me being a Browns fan that at least one of these teams is going to lose in this game. That is really how I'm looking at this game.
Yeah.
One of them has to lose. I don't know. I tried to look it up earlier, but I don't know if TJ Watt is going to play. I think Alex Highsmith is cleared, but I do know that TJ Watt, without him, that defense might slip up, and Gardner Minshew's at home in this one. So
Minshew Mania in
Minshew
December. All right, next game, the Saturday night game, Broncos at Detroit. Lions 5 point favorites, which is it's kind of a big spread for me to think about. But I mean, they're at home, they're on turf. This is another really good game. Like this is a massive playoff implication game.
Can it
And
be a
so,
get right game for the Lions, or is it going to cement that the Broncos are going to make a run here?
yeah, so it's like those are three phenomenal Saturday matchups. I don't know if those are flexed at all, and probably assume they're not flexed, and they just have lined up to be great games. But
I know the Monday night game was a flex,
yeah,
but I don't know about these Saturday ones. But all three ended up being very good, and this being another AFC NFC matchup. Broncos after their slow start, and now Detroit kind of fading right now. They got to get right before the playoffs. This is a good test for Detroit. This is a good test for them. Broncos defense has been playing really well. Russell Wilson has been playing really well. Cortland Sutton has been playing really well. And Jared Goff needs to get it right here. I would look for the Lions to really lean on the run game in this game.
Next game we have Buccaneers at Packers. That's a 1 p.m. game. Packers are 3.5 point home favorites. That's kind of a lot to me, especially considering all the injuries we're going to have on offense. And probably going to be out one of our starting two linebackers at least, and Jair Alexander, and Devontae Wyatt. But anyways, I think right now Buccaneers are playing good football. They're playing complementary football. Their defense is playing up to the level of their roster. And Baker Mayfield is a gunslinger. He's got receivers that can play with a gunslinger. And if they can get that run game consistent and get the blocking to support it too, like Rashad White, can he get he's a talented running back. He can catch out of the backfield. He just doesn't I necessarily don't think he gets the run blocking that he always should have gotten like earlier in the year with Jensen and those guys. They've got some fucking big players that you just think can be maulers if they can click. Uh, yeah, this one I think is gonna be a tight one, but it's a massive game.
That
Huge game.
Jair Alexander injury is huge. If Mike Evans, like with Mike Evans on the other side of
Yeah.
the football, that'd be my biggest scare if I was you. Mike Evans is just no joke, man. And I think that the Packers have been doing well. Like this last week, I think is a little bit of a fluke with their offense. I think it's a good thing for them to be going back home right now. It's a perfect time for them to return back home, get that little extra oomph into this game. And I said to you a few weeks ago that this Tampa Bay game is a must win for the Packers.
It is big. It is big. We have to we have to go 3-1 to make the playoffs. And if we lose this one, obviously we got to beat the Panthers on Christmas Eve, and then the Vikings on New Year's Eve, and then we'd have to beat the Bears. But I'm not going to say must win, but it's a critical game. It's really going to make the chances. It's going to make me less bullish for sure. And Packers Nation will be much depressed about the fucking state of the Packers team.
It
Anyways,
sucks a little bit for you that we'll get into it, but Atlanta's playing Carolina this week. Hopefully, maybe Carolina can catch them slipping.
yeah, I also wouldn't like to see Carolina get hot right before they play the Packers. But anyways, the Jets Dolphins. Dolphins 8.5 point favorites at home. I mean, this could be a trap game as well. I don't think it will be because Dolphins are at home. They're trying to get right. Jets are resilient on defense. Dolphins just have a better defense than advertised, and that Jets offense, I don't really see having the same type of success on the road. It's just if Zach Wilson pulled this game off, that's something big for them.
Yeah, if Zach Wilson pulls off an upset against the Dolphins, that he's gonna he's gonna be a quarterback somewhere not named the New York Jets next year. Definitely a get right
With a
game for
chance to start.
yeah, definitely a get right game for the Dolphins here. Can they just absolutely obliterate a divisional opponent, or are they going to struggle again? And I don't know, man. When you're getting close down to the wire here, I feel like sometimes you got to think about maybe resting a guy like Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle when they are banged up, because you're going to want them at their maximum potential come down the stretch.
Do you do you think that the Titans, not the Titans, I'm sorry. Do you think that the Dolphins against the Titans that was a fluke for them, or do you think that was the
I really don't know, dude, because I've said that stat all year about the Dolphins not being able to beat a winning team. They faced off against in my opinion, Mike Vrabel is one of the top like 5 coaches in the NFL. They faced off against him and you know a gritty Tennessee team that a lot of people probably thought they gave up on the season, and Tennessee went and punched them in the mouth. They punched them in the mouth.
The next game, Giants Saints. This is a kind of a tricky game because Saints obviously have a lot to play for. Giants, they're still not out. And so they're going to be hungry. Both teams are kind of playing good football right now. They've got some momentum. They're playing good December football. So we'll see. I mean, 6-point favorites for the Saints at home. That's kind of where I just see the Saints defense being able to capitalize off of flying around, rising Tommy DeVito, but you never know. That impressed me from the Giants. I mean, they played not great, but they played better than the Packers. So it's a tough game. Big implications. What do you got?
Big implications. Can the Giants win 4 in a row here and get back in the hunt, basically? That would be a great victory for them if they win it down in New Orleans. I still am not sold on the Dennis Allen head coach of the New Orleans Saints, and I'm still not sold of Derek Carr being the starting quarterback for the Saints. I think the Saints defense has been aging a little bit, and it's shown this year. And I think that the Giants defense is now kind of coming back into form after what we saw last night with them kind of halting the Packers' little run that they went on.
Yeah. Falcons, Panthers. Panthers at home, 3-point dogs. We just talked about this. Kind of a tight spread for me. I think the Falcons take this one. This isn't close to me. I think the Falcons are playing better offense. And I thought that was a really good offensive performance, especially in the second as of late. Like Desmond Ritter kind of turned it on a little bit in a way I didn't think he could. So I would be shocked if the Falcons don't just take this game easy.
I don't know what's telling me that this is the second win for the Carolina Panthers this year. I don't know why. I don't know what's telling me that this is the second win for the Carolina Panthers this season, but something is telling me maybe it's Desmond Ritter starting at quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, and I just think that maybe the Carolina Panthers are tired of being pushed around. I don't know. Something is telling me that the Carolina Panthers are going to win this game.
I'll give it to you. You got to put it in your pick stuff.
Ah. Hey,
Bears.
I took a ballsy pick last week and it paid off.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. All right, next game we have Bears Browns. Speaking of ballsy pick, Bears Browns. Browns 3-point favorites at home. Big game. Kind of talked about no one wants to be playing the Bears right now, but I mean, right now, hey, you guys can. It's just kind of. I think the most intriguing matchup of this is like Justin Fields versus your defensive front seven. How can he manipulate the pocket? How can he escape the pocket? How can he get yards after contact? What's their designed quarterback run game plan like with the because I don't think you guys can just drop or not you guys, but I don't think the Browns um want to blitz him, if that makes sense. I think you want to let him sit back there and get the pressure on him with just the four and then make him find his reads through your secondary. And I know you guys said you have like the number one defense at home and like the 30th on the road. Like if that's the telling sign, that's an impressive stat for sure. I don't know. I like the Browns.
I'm nervous for this one. I'm nervous for the way that the Bears defense has been playing and how well they've been playing to go against our offense, which now we don't have. We're on our third string right tackle, second string left tackle, and second string center. I'm nervous for that. I'm nervous for the Bears defense against the Browns offense. Browns defense, yes, more injuries on that. I think that what scares me about this game too is that we normally don't play well against mobile quarterbacks, a la Lamar Jackson torches us all the time. I'm nervous for this game. I'm nervous that this is a game that we were chalking up as a win, and this could now slip away. And everything that I've wanted out of a Brown season is like at our fingertips right now. And by winning this game and moving to 9-5, like getting away from some of these 7-6 teams would be absolutely monumental for our season if they could do it. That this is probably a must win for the Browns. It's an
No,
it's an in it, the reason why I'm saying it is because it's an inferior opponent, and I don't want to lose to an inferior opponent at home.
yeah, I see what you're saying, but a must-win game is the Bills playing the Chiefs last week. That was a must-win for their season. You are not in a
Okay.
must-win scenario.
Okay.
You're just in a you're in a you need a buffer for you to be happy and like not pull your hair out during games. And that this is the game that like if you lose it, you lose your buffer. But anyways, the next game, Chiefs Patriots. Chiefs 9.5 point favorites on the road. Could be a sneaky game. I think it's a big spread for the Chiefs. Bill Belichick, you know, old little rivalry fucking long ago. 4 years ago, this was a great matchup. But I mean, we're far away from that now. So it's fine. But what do you got on this one?
Bill always draws up some weird schemes in order to contain like the number one player of the opposing team. So that's Travis Kelsey right there. So what can the Chiefs and Andy Reid cook up to get some other people involved? If I'm the Chiefs, I go back to what they did the last 2 years. Get Jerick McKinnon more involved. I know Isaiah Pacheco didn't play in this last game against the Bills, but if he's back, they better feed him the ball. And I don't know how, but they got to get Rashi Rice and Sky Moore up to speed with Patrick Mahomes in order to start making some noise in the AFC. The Patriots, Bailey Zappi, is he going to zappy the Chiefs? I don't really think so, but it does pay dividends for them being at home. 9.5 points is a lot of points for a road team to go into New England and win by.
Yeah. Next game, 49ers Cardinals, 4 p.m. Only 3 games in that slate. 49ers Cardinals. Cardinals are 13.5 point underdogs at home. I mean that's just a fucking that's not a game to me. I'm ready to move on from that one already.
Yeah,
Kyler
I mean,
Murray.
I don't really got much here either. Just, Kyler Murray, can he run around as much as he can and make it closer than 13.5 points? I don't know.
Yeah. What next game? The uh we got the fucking Commanders and Rams. Rams at home, 2.5 point favorites. Or no, 6.5 point favorites. Sorry. I'm losing my mind. 6.5 point favorites. This one I like the Rams. I just think they are a much more supremely talented team right now, specifically with their quarterback position and some of their defensive star pedigree players. But what do you got?
Yeah, look for the Rams to absolutely blow out the Commanders and make a statement of why they should be the 6th, 7th seed in the NFC and completely put all the things together defensively and offensively and get back to 500 and start to make a move in order to get into the playoff picture. Commanders, keep Sam Howell upright and healthy. I know you guys had to pull him out of the game the last time you guys actually played, so don't get the guy that everybody's saying is your franchise hurt at the end of the season.
Yeah. The what next game? Cowboys Bills. This is the this is a big matchup. 2.5 points. Bills favored at home. Cowboys are underdogs. Crazy to think about, but I mean, big test for the Cowboys if you're a Cowboys fan. It's a good game for you guys to see what you're made of if you're a Cowboys fan. I don't think you're really that nervous going into it. You got a lot of confidence. see what you guys can do. Bills are just, I mean, every game you just gotta
Desperate.
desperate. I don't think it's a must win, but they can make the playoffs with losing this game. But I think you need one to really be confident going into controlling your own destiny after this.
It would also say a lot if they beat the Chiefs and then the Cowboys in back-to-back weeks when their backs are completely up against the wall. Crazy to me that the over-under in this game is 50.5.
Yeah.
Dallas going into Buffalo. If you're a Dallas fan, you probably be. I think Dallas might be a little upset that they're 2.5 point dogs. I know they're going into Buffalo, but the way they've been playing lately, like it's tough for them to be a dog in any fight right now.
The Sunday night football game, Ravens Jaguars in Jacksonville. Ravens are 3.5 point road favorites. Big matchup. You mentioned the Trevor Lawrence injury earlier. Did that make him play like shit this past game? Is that the reason why? Is he going to play like that again? Are the Ravens going to have a hangover from that overtime win just from a couple of days ago? We'll see. But big game for really, I mean, both sides. Ravens for the 1 seed. Also, I mean, if the Browns win, they'll know if like it's getting closer in the AFC North, and then obviously the Jaguars, Texans can win, make things close. But what do you got?
Yeah, I don't know with that Trevor Lawrence injury. Like the way it looked played out on that Monday night game, it looked like he was going to be out for like the rest of the season. And when he's like walking off, and then he ends up playing in the game against the Browns, he doesn't look good. I don't know what's going on there, and Jacksonville's got to be careful because the Colts and the Texans are right on their heels. Baltimore, I'd look for Baltimore to really hammer the Jaguars if this game could possibly get out of hand if Trevor Lawrence is not up to snuff and isn't playing at what his potential is. I do think the Ravens are a very good team. I think they are very firmly the number one team in the AFC at this moment in time. Could that change, especially with a loss to Jacksonville? Yeah, it could change very quickly.
Yeah. Next game I have the Eagles Seahawks. Eagles are 4 point road favorites going into Seattle on Monday Night Football. Big game, specifically for Eagles and their 3 point, or do they want to go on a 3 game losing streak or not? And then Seahawks, I mean, every game from here on out, they're 6-7, massive game, trying to stop a 2 game losing streak as well. Which team can get right?
Yeah, we talked about last week how the Seahawks are basically desperate for a win. They needed a win against the 49ers. They didn't get that win. Now they're playing a Philadelphia Eagles team that is also desperate after dropping 2 in a row, one to a divisional opponent, now sliding from the 1 seed all the way to the 5 seed in the NFC. I would if I'm a Philly fan, I would hope that they're blowing out the Seahawks and possibly ending the Seahawks season and showing the rest of the world again why you should not write off the Philadelphia Eagles. I would look for them to try and run the ball with DeAndre Swift, firmly cement him as the number one back, get him going, get him up to speed, and then pop, pop, lock, and drop it with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that as far as running the ball, get some play action, cement yourselves as the NFC East favorite if the Bills can get that win on the Cowboys. Third down, we got our locks and upsets. Both of us take another loss with the Dolphins as our lock, thanks to Monday Night Football and Will Levis. So I go to 11-3 on the year for my locks. You go to 8-6, and then we go to our upsets. And I had the Bengals, so I go up to 6-8 with that win. And you had the Bears over the Lions, which puts you up to 6-8. So we're both tied on our upsets. What do you have? I'll go first on my lock of the week. I have the 49ers over the Cardinals.
49ers over the Cardinals. I'm going to take the Chiefs over the New England Patriots.
Then my upset, I have the Buccaneers over the Packers.
Why did I know you were going to pick that? Upset of the week. Hmm. Hmm. Do I do it? Nah. I'll pick a juicy one. Give me Tommy DeVito and Tommy Cutlets to beat the Saints.
Okay. Then we go to fourth down. Best matchup and sneakiest matchup. So I had my best matchup Eagles Cowboys. Fucking sucked. I had my sneakiest matchup as Rams Ravens, was very good.
Sneaky.
And then you had your best matchup as Bills Chiefs, very good. And then your sneakiest matchup as Detroit Chicago, exciting because Chicago won,
Yeah.
but not very good as far as competitive in the end. Um, let's go fourth down for us this week. Best matchup, I'm gonna go Cowboys Bills. I think that game just you got the pedigree, you got the Bills fan base,
History.
Cowboys, yeah, yeah, that
His
too.
history between two teams,
Super
the
Bowls in
Super
the
Bowls.
90s. Yeah.
I like that matchup. I'm going to be tuning into that game. I think it's going to be a good one. Best matchup for me. Hmm. I I think I'm going to take this Detroit Denver game. I think that game could be. I think just when we were talking about it, playoff implications were in my mind. Just two teams that are really vying for position in playoffs. One going for a division title, and one right on the heels of the team in front of them. So if Denver wants a shot at the title and taking it from the Chiefs, they need to win this game. Detroit, they just need to firmly cement themselves as the NFC North champions. And kind of got to get right. They haven't played well recently.
Sneakiest matchup, I have Buccaneers and Packers. I think that's
Bucks,
a
Packers.
NFC South front runner right now. I'm going on the road, playing Green Bay, who just got a tough loss. Both teams need to win big time for the playoffs. And kind of two different stories. Packers are a young, inexperienced team, injured, trying to figure out whatever they can do to get wins. Buccaneers, wily vets, an experienced team, trying to put their experience together. I mean, like, I think it's a classic game rematch from a couple of years ago in the playoffs.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
but but yeah, um, what's your sneakiest?
Sneakiest, I'm going to take Pittsburgh and in Indianapolis. That is another one that when we talked about it, huge playoff implications. Yeah, it sucks that Mitch Trubisky is going to be the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but if you want a shot at the playoffs, you got to win. You got to face adversity and you got to win these games, as some other teams in the NFL have shown all along season, winning games with their backup quarterback, finding ways to win. That is something that the Pittsburgh Steelers got to show. Indianapolis Colts, lose a game to the Bengals last week. Kind of detrimental. Lucky that all these tiebreakers and all these teams are tied at 7-6. They got to get right again. I'll look for that to be a close game and for be entertaining as well.
All right, are we ready for pick six?
Pick six of the week.
All right, so last week I went 3-2-1 with the push on the Bengals, not the Bengals, but the Raiders Vikings. That puts me to 38, 32, and 2. So I'm 38, 32, and 2 on the year. You went 2-3-1, which puts you at 36, 34, and 2. So I get one game on you after last week. So I have a 2-game lead on you so far going into week 15. I know you want to check your math. I'll let you
No,
check the
where'd you
math.
get 36 from?
You got 2 wins. You had 34.
I have us after last week. You were 41, 36, and 1, and I was 40, 37, and 1.
How many? I was what? I was 41,
You're
36, and
40, 41, 36, and 1, and I'm 40, 37, and 1.
so 41 plus 37 would be 78, right? So 78 divided by
42,
4,
36.
78 divided by 6, I said I mistake. That puts us at 13 weeks.
Yeah, 13.
How does that make sense? Because it was our week 14. Oh, I get it. Okay, wait. Are you sure?
I've got 41, 36, and 1, and 40, 37, and 1.
We'll have to dispute this afterwards. I'm not saying I disagree with you, but we'll have to dispute this because I don't think we were tied last week.
No,
Um,
you were up on me by 1 game.
I was up by you on one game, and now I'm up by you on two.
Yeah.
Um, so we now are. So we'll adjust whatever the fuck our final thing is. There, we have to figure that out right after this. But my pick six to start our first game. Vikings plus 3.5
Vikings plus
over the
3.5.
Bengals.
I'm going to match you and take you minus 3.5 Cincinnati.
This is turning into not be fun.
All right, what do you got next?
We're like fading our own picks. All right, well, I'll go Buccaneers plus 3.5.
You got plus 3.5 Tampa Bay. I don't have a hat to throw in there, but I'm going to take Pittsburgh plus 2.5.
Steelers plus 2.5. And then I'm gonna take the Falcons -3 against the Panthers.
-3 ATL. And then I'm going to take the Denver Broncos plus 5.
I'm gonna take the Rams -6.5 over the Commanders.
I've got I don't remember previewing this game. Houston, are they favored or underdog to Tennessee?
Oh wow, yeah. Titans are 2.5 point favorites.
I'll take the Houston Texans plus 2.5.
Yeah, I think we skipped that one.
CJ Stroud's hurt, probably, guys. That's why that spread is like that. But anyways, we'll proceed.
Okay, next game I have is the Ravens -3.5 over the Jags.
Ravens over the Jags. I've got Giants plus 6 over the Saints.
And then my last pick, I have the Eagles -4 over the Seahawks.
-4 for Philly. And then I've got Buffalo plus -2.5.
There you go. All right.
That
Who's
is
got the Eagles?
that is our pick 6 of the week. Now, into who's got the juice. It has been a roller coaster of a season for fantasy football. If you are a fan of fantasy football, if you play fantasy football, a lot of injuries, a lot of movement, a lot of waiver wire trends. Like you had to be really in tune to it this year in order to have a good season. Who's got the juice this week? I think I'm going to take Austin Eckler. 51 rushing yards and a touchdown, 5 receptions and 49 receiving yards against the Denver Broncos for the LA Chargers. He put up 21 points in fantasy football. Got a juicy performance and now has a juicy matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders, who are giving up the 9th most points to running backs. I know that Justin Herbert is not playing this week, but that might mean that they got to lean on their lead back. They got to lean on Austin Eckler to get them into the end zone, get them their yards, get them down the field. I would look for the LA Chargers to lean on Austin Eckler and produce and put up some juicy numbers if you have them in fantasy this week.
Yeah, I'll say this. I was gonna go Zay Flowers just because he's had some good performances. But realistically, I'm gonna go with Tommy Mike DeVito. One other stat that's crazy about him, he's the first undrafted rookie quarterback to go 3-1 in his first 4 starts. And so, I mean, he's put together right now quietly an 8 touchdown, 3 interception season, 96.5 passer rating. Like that's not bad, but in four starts, 28 sacks, although he only took, that really means three games he took 28 sacks. But he's put together some impressive stat lines as far as completion percentage, 65.9% completion percentage. He's averaging not great yards per game, but I mean, he's playing just enough to get them wins. And that's what I'll say with that. But do the bullshit, whatever you want to do.
Tommy DeVito, man. It's been crazy. This NFL season has been a wild time. I'm glad that if any of you are still listening to MnM Going Deep and you are tuning in week after week, we are glad to have you with us on this ride called the NFL season. Cole, do you have any closing thoughts?
Beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
What?
December football. It's December football.
Yeah, it is December football. I really would love to see a snow game pretty soon, maybe in Buffalo this coming week with the Dallas Cowboys visiting. That'd be a turn of fate if that game turned into a snow game. That'd be wild.
Yeah. For sure.
I can't wait for this season. There are so many teams that are between 8-5 and 6-7 all across the NFL. It is a wild time to be a fan of football. Tune in, folks. It's going to be a wild ride to the end of the season. Some jockeying of positions in the playoffs and some winners and some losers, as always. Keep coming here for MnM Going Deep. I'm Kyle McCumber, as always. That's Cole Mueller, and we'll catch you next week with our Week 15 recap and our Week 16 preview. You guys have a great weekend, and as always,
Patriots, I've decided to part ways with Bill Belichick after the season.
Yeah, I did get a notification about that, but I didn't know if it was true or not. So, anyway, we'll catch you guys next week. Maybe that'll be a more true fact. We'll see. We'll talk about it here at MnM Going Deep. As always, go Browns.